promised myself I'd never go back there. Since that night, the house had remained shut, forgotten at the end of the road. But time passed, and its silence turned into dust and cracks in the walls. The real estate agent told me someone was interested in buying it, so I went back just to fix things up and get the house ready for sale. Simple, quick, but the moment I touched the rusty doorknob, I knew it wouldn't be. The door gave way easily, like it had been waiting for me. The air was still, but not dusty. It was heavy. The paintings on the walls looked darker than I remembered. The silence inside was disturbing. Every corner held memories of us. Her laughter on the porch, Sunday lunches, arguments that always ended in reconciliation. But after that last fight, everything changed. I left and she stayed, crying. I never saw her again, at least not alive. The living room was just the same. The crooked couch, the squashed cushions. On the wall, the marks of time looked like shadows that hadn't been there before. I slowly climbed the stairs to the second floor, where our bedroom was. My hands were trembling for no clear reason. Guilt weighed heavy on my chest. In the hallway, the air grew colder, as if I were stepping into another time, another dimension of the house. I passed one of the bedrooms, and something made me stop. Out of the corner of my eye, I saw a figure cross the open doorway. It was her face, quick, faint, unmistakable. My heart nearly stopped. It couldn't be. I was alone, but I saw it. I saw it. That apparition wasn't my imagination. It was a warning. I stepped into the room, and there was nothing. No sign of disturbed dust, no presence, no life. But her familiar scent lingered in the air. Not perfume, just presence. Like when someone hasn't truly left yet, as if she were watching me from a place I couldn't reach. I sat on the bed and stayed there for a while, trying to figure out if it was regret, guilt, or something beyond that. That night, our last night together, I said things I should have never said. She cried, begged me to stay, and I left, slamming the door behind me. I spent the night in the room. I didn't sleep. Every time I closed my eyes, I saw her shadow in the hallway, and at some point, I was sure it wasn't just a shadow. She was there, watching me. In the morning, I went down to the kitchen and found a cup on the table, the same one she used, intact, clean, like it had just been placed there. There was no dust on it. I shook. That wasn't possible. I spent the following days trapped there. I couldn't leave. Literally. The doors locked on their own. The windows wouldn't open. My phone lost signal the second I stepped inside. It was like the house had swallowed me whole. On the third day, I heard the stairs creaking. I was downstairs, and I knew no one else was there. I looked up, and for a second, I saw someone's bare foot vanish at the top. I ran up. Nothing. Just the same presence, the same cold. I started talking to her, apologizing, saying I regretted everything, saying I'd do anything to have her back. And the house's silence seemed to listen, until one night she answered. It was her voice, low, behind me. "You came back." I turned around in a flash, but there was only darkness. It wasn't a threat. It was more like a statement. After that, she started showing up more often, sometimes next to me in bed, other times standing on the porch staring out, always silent, always with sunken eyes, like she hadn't blinked in years. The first time she appeared beside me, I froze. I didn't feel fear. I felt shame. Her eyes weren't the same anymore. They looked like dark wells, too deep to stare into. But even so, I begged for forgiveness. She didn't speak. She just reached out and touched my face, cold like stone, but soft like when she was alive. I closed my eyes, holding my breath, and wished she'd take me with her. The next morning, I woke up alone, but her touch was still on my face, a faint redness. I started thinking maybe it was fair. Maybe my punishment was to stay there with her, and maybe she was just waiting for me to accept it. I lived the routine of a condemned man. I spoke to her, even when she didn't answer, left a chair pulled out at the table, slept on the same side of the bed as before, and waited. One night, I heard something fall in the bedroom. It was one of our picture frames, the one from the beach trip. It lay on the floor, glass shattered, but what was strange, her face had vanished from the photo, as if she'd never been there. That shook me to the core. I began to suspect she was erasing the traces, or worse, preparing me for something I didn't yet understand. A trade, maybe, an unspoken pact. On the 7th day, she spoke again. "You know what I want." Her voice was low, emotionless. It wasn't a request. It was a reminder, and I knew exactly what she meant. I went up to the attic. There was an old rope tied to a beam. She stood below in the dark, watching, with a slight nod of approval, and for a moment, I considered it, but something stopped me. It wasn't fear, not anymore. It was a primal survival instinct, and when I hesitated, she disappeared. The next day, something had changed. The walls seemed narrower, like they were slowly closing in. The hallway, which I remembered as short, grew longer each time I walked through it. The kitchen door creaked on its own, even when locked. The house was falling apart from the inside, or adapting to what it had become, a prison made of guilt. And I was the prisoner, or the visitor, or maybe the last bit of living flesh she still needed to become whole. I tried to burn the house down. I built a fire with the curtains and furniture, but the flames wouldn't rise. They just danced low, like they were mocking me. She wasn't going to let it happen, so I screamed. I screamed everything I'd kept inside for 2 years. The truth, that yes, I loved her, but I never meant to promise what I couldn't keep. That night, she appeared one last time, a figure standing at the foot of the bed, and for the first time, she was crying, but said nothing. The next morning, the front door was open. Light poured in like the world had returned to normal. I walked out without looking back, but I know she's still in there, waiting for me to keep my promise.